Welcome to your fast, inexpensive, and engaging strategy process. In part 1, we started to define who our users were and what they wanted. If you missed part 1, you can catch up on our YouTube channel, Move Makers. In part 2, we're going to map out what needs to be done in order to meet our users' desires. Once we've agreed on what our users want, we can start to map out the value chain. The value chain lists the things we and others need to do in order to satisfy the desires of our users. This is how we create value for them and us. We should run this exercise for all our users, but for now we're going to start with prospective graduate students. They're the ones we're trying to convince to buy our course at our business school. We need their revenue. After examining results from past surveys and speaking to our colleagues who know the prospective students best, we've identified that graduate students want engaging courses with a balance between theory and practice, and courses that are delivered flexibly. Now here's the hard part. We now have to put ourselves in the shoes of these users and see the world as they do. We have to think about what they need in order to get what they want. We can't just say these users need a degree from our business school. That's focusing more on our need to sell something, rather than what they are looking for. What's more, graduate students have a world of choice. They're not just looking at our business school. If we don't start by taking the user's perspective, we're sunk. But we are confident our users want engaging courses, balanced between theory and practice, and delivered flexibly. That's a great starting point. Now we have to think how they're looking to satisfy these desires. After some discussion, we agreed they'd be looking for information about the various courses on offer out there. And they'd also be looking for some evidence to confirm what they're being told is credible. Now, it usually takes a bit of time and some serious discussion to identify the higher order needs. But don't be put off. Deeper, better discussions between colleagues is a feature of strategy mapping, not a bug. You'll identify many things that your users are looking for, but limit yourself to the 2 or 3 main needs for now. It will help keep things manageable. Save those other needs for later, as they'll be a valuable source of ideas when you need inspiration on how to differentiate your offerings from your competitors. Congratulations! This is a big step. We now have a hanger from which we can map how we create value for our users and ourselves. The hanger doesn't need to be perfect, but it does have to be done. Next, we're going to identify how our industry satisfies our users' higher order needs. Prospective students looking for information about business courses often turn to the education media. And in order to attract readers, education media outlets publish rankings of the best business courses. That's because they know the prestige of the business school matters to the prospective students. This means we may have uncovered a new, higher order need our users have, the need for prestige. So we add that to our list. To produce these rankings, the education media needs the participation of the business schools and their students. In fact, most surveys are based on the feedback from alumni, not current students. Therefore, in order to get their active participation, the education media use standardized criteria which the business schools also find useful. And a smart business school like ours will recognize the importance of being high up in the rankings and will develop an active alumni network to ensure its graduates participate in these surveys. Some business schools may also provide a bit of PR guidance to their alumni, explaining the importance of positive responses for the prestige of their business school and the value of their degrees. Now we have our first partial value chain. We are showing the steps needed to inform prospective graduate students about the best courses on the market. So let's assume our business school has done a good job of getting up the rankings and prospective students want to learn more specifically about our courses. The next thing users would probably do is visit our website to learn more about our business school. Therefore, our website has to be informative and engaging, which means it needs the following: information about our curriculum and faculty staff, with an emphasis on showing how engaging their courses are, by perhaps emphasizing the careful balance of theory and practice that have been designed into them. We'd also want to publish any success stories we have, perhaps profiling famous companies run by alumni. And finally, we agreed that prospective students need some information about the costs of our courses. To determine a competitive cost for our business courses, we need to do some market research to see what other business schools are charging. And we'd also need to do some financial modelling so we can test assumptions about the number of students we need to attract at different price points and finalise which price points would enable us to hit our financial targets. And for that, we're going to need a researcher from the marketing team and a modeller from the finance team. But we don't include people on our map because at this stage we are less interested in who does these things. That's because there's a hierarchy of strategic thinking, and this is a key distinction between our way of doing strategy versus most others. Cling on to this, for while others are drowning in fuzzy thinking, you'll have a strategy lifeboat. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of details of who should be doing what by when, we have to decide how we're going to do something. And before we can decide how we're going to do something, we have to make decisions around why we're making these strategic moves here rather than those moves there. And to do that, we have to understand where our options for action are. Think of this like a game of chess. We have multiple moves we can make at any one time. And to make good moves, we compare our options for action in order to decide why we should make this move here with a queen, rather than that move there with the pawn. Strategic decisions which are successful start with identifying where our options are first, and that requires us to see the board or the business landscape we're operating in first. Therefore, focus first on developing your awareness of where your options are so you can compare them, as it's this that makes it easier to answer why you should make this move here and not that move there. This is the art of strategy, making choices. Only once you've done that should you turn to tactical questions such as how you should do something and the operational questions of who should do what by when. And now you know the hierarchy of strategic thinking. And in the next video, we'll show you how to identify strategic options. So watch out for that in part 3 of Strategy Sessions Made Simple.